Jet Squelcher and the Splattershot Pro, but from the most part, we've seen teams rise to the top by bringing with them those short to mid-range aggressive comps that are full of things like Ink Armor and the Inkjet.
Yeah, and it really just goes to show how important those long-range weapons were in Splatoon 1 that are not currently in the game. We don't have either of the range blasters. We don't have the Hydra Splatling. We don't really, I mean, we of course have the Splattershot Pro, but we had 3 of them last game, all with different functionalities. So I think as the new weapons come out and new maps come out, that weapon or the meta will receive a shakeup. But yeah, you said it best. This is the meta at the moment. This is what we've seen. We've seen every team kind of dip into this pool, and we're seeing pretty identical comps here, just a couple changes here and there. So yeah, let's take a look right here at the start. Both teams looking like they're not going to waste too much time up at the top as they jump into the middle.
Both teams making the desperate bum rush to mid. Some players hanging back to try and build up that Ink Armor first. Let's see when they start to activate here. About 14 or 13 seconds for the first one to come out from SaiKai, and that'll result in a kill there from Shaq. Now Shaq also painting these ink rails, which were added recently for Splatoon 2 for Moray Towers. That'll allow you to get around the map a lot more quickly. Shaq trying to bait out some sort of shot coming out from Gray, but is going to stay behind, and that'll be Brandon for Silver Sanction. SaiKai picking up the Rainmaker first, trying to decide which path to take it up. Looks like they might take it up the front wall, but Ryanator jumping down on that Tri-Slash. They're going to be able to get the kill, looking for a second one, and we'll find it in the form of a trade, but unfortunately did not get a chance to pop that Ink Armor.
Yeah, really important too. Now both sides, just for a minute there, going down 3. So, you know, even though they went down 3 and they do have control, there wasn't a whole lot lost up there. But you can already see there from Shaq the premium they're putting on trying to move Gray out of that position, or any Rapid Blaster, recognizing its power up on that top snipe area. But they've got to be careful. If they get too obvious, Ryan and these other members of Serenity are going to be able to come around and get flanks. Now got to get out of there before the Rainmaker shield, the best weapon in the game, in my opinion, doing its dirty work and taking them out.
It's an unbelievably large explosion radius. It basically covers the entirety of mid, so if anyone is stuck in there, they're basically going to go down in a hurry. And it's also important to note, no 10 attacks in this game at all. We do see the regular splatter shot coming out from Shaq, that being Shaq's more so main weapon even than the 10 attack. That's going to have that burst bomb, which detonates so quickly, and the splashdown, which can also give you a good amount of map control here. But now it's going to be SaiKai picking up the Rainmaker. Ryan will go down, so that's a 2-down situation coming out, and now there's an opportunity here for SaiKai to go over to this left-hand side. Only challenged there by Dragon Uto, but they will go down as well. But they have not painted that wall yet. That's a major misstep. They might have to take it up mid as Brandon forced to retreat here, and that Rainmaker timer still ticking down all this time.
Great job by R2, just pushing the clock, if nothing else, forcing it to take just a little bit longer so that some other players are going to be able to get down. Now Ryan able to make a push here, and it looks like that Rainmaker going to go nowhere in a hurry, going to try to make one last attempt at snipe. Not even good. Well, yeah, going to touch down there, but, you know, again, not a lot doing. Great job. You know, if you are the last one up, you got to do something to slow down objective. As Gray indicates, there may be something that they like up here on snipe. It looks like one already went down there. They are able to get the lead because of that, but not a big lead. 66, certainly not a winning push.
Not a big lead at all, but it's going to be enough for the moment. That's effectively a full wipe there. So now SaiKai able to have a chance at going forward again. They do have this wall mostly painted here, so an envoy of 3, 2 in the Rainmaker going up to the wall. If they can at least get on the grade, they'll grab the lead. They do grab it at 44. Brandon going down to Ryanator, who finally stops that push and has the Ink Armor ready. That's a 2-down situation for SaiKai, but a huge lead gain there, giving Serenity only 2 minutes left to try and combat it. They just have to get up the wall themselves, but again, that in and of itself is a tall order.
And we've talked about it so many times. Going down 3 or 4 against these top teams, you just can't do it. They make the plays when they need to. I know we've seen a couple times the last one up making the plays to kind of save things, but that time there was no top player or their single player left to do it. And unfortunately, going to get sniffed out here again by Red. And it looks like Gray, another color, going to make something happen here on the side, but going to go down as well. And right now, SaiKai just not giving them a whole lot. You see little glimpses of stuff, but, you know, SaiKai is just able to hold it together remarkably well.
Yeah, Gray, in a rare moment, they're caught out of position. Their nice burst bomb there is going to stop that push of the Rainmaker before they can get up the wall once more. 2-down situation now for SaiKai. Good job by the members of Serenity here, bunching up, trying to get map control before they push forward. A minute doesn't always seem like a lot with the Rainmaker, but they're giving themselves plenty of time, being patient, trying to get that map control back in mid, and maybe force a 2 or 3 down situation on the side of SaiKai. They might be waiting a bit too long, though, as now SaiKai able to get map control back in mid. That timer for Dragon Uto still ticking down, trying to find anyone that might be on top of that wall. And it's such a crucial thing having your teammates push forward, try and provide those early kills, because as the Rainmaker, your main weapon is taken away, so you're kind of stuck with these long arcing shots. So Dragonuto basically relying on his teammates there and forced back onto this ramp.
I don't know that Brandon necessarily knew that the Rainmaker was right there, but Brandon taking back what we call old zone in that situation, just making sure they have a little bit more map control. Ryan, of course, caught out alone, not going to be able to get it done there. Shat going to get the chance to go in, also has Splashdown, going to be able to help out the team. Does get spotted out, and I'm actually a little bit surprised to see them pushing the Rainmaker forward instead of running it back, but it looks like they do take out 2 here. And although they do lose it, 44, a pretty strong push there. Ryan gone. I don't know where he went. It was somewhere there. The name was there. R2 going to get a chance to grab it, but that is going to be it. Caught alone against a shooter, not a spot you want to be in. And game 1 going in pretty convincing fashion, as you see by the blue map, to SaiKai.
Yeah, and I think as we predicted, most of that game was played just on the middle part of the map. Nobody really advancing too far into the streets. I think for the most part, both of these teams were very evenly matched. Nice KA there by the Rapid Blaster, getting 17 and also popping that Splat Bomb Rush 5 times to help maintain that map control. I think this is a rare instance where Gray might have been a bit outplayed. We saw him get killed at around the 1 or 2 minute mark there, being backed up and just not even noticing the opposing Rapid Blaster melting him down with indirect shots. So that's something they're going to have to focus on. They had the Rainmaker and just waited a bit too long to try and get some of those crucial kills onto SaiKai to force a 2 or 3 down situation. Both teams, as expected, playing that wall, and it was just SaiKai who was able to get up at first. So both teams going to be likely shifting their strategies as we move on to a completely different map mode combination here, Splat Zones on Art Academy.
We talked about this earlier, and we've talked about it all tournament. Don't go down 3 or 4 here, because if you lose your plat, you will have a heck of a time trying to get back in, no matter what your comp is. There just is not a lot of room for you to ink and even build up something as quick as an ink armor there. And, you know, when there's not a big piece of pie, there's not a lot to eat. So, again, I think both teams will play it a little bit conservatively here at the start. We'll see a lot of bombs raining down, maybe 1 or 2 shooters trying to go in and make a play, but it really is going to be the team that overextends first that is going to get punished, and punished hard on this map.
And once, like you said, once you get map control in mid, it's a pretty easily defensible position. You have that huge art installment sitting in the middle of the zone that you can climb on top of and basically see the entire map, because the rest of the map is completely lower elevations from there on. So you can pretty easily keep the enemy team locked in their spawn. They have to either take a leap of faith to get down from their court area onto the zone, or they have to try one of the few flanking options, either over on the far left-hand side or just get down into that right-hand side court and try and go up the ramp, which are both pretty obvious spots. So if one team, like you said, is able to get control of mid early on, that could spell absolute doom for the enemy team. Unfortunately, in this lobby right now, it looks like Ryan coming back in here, I think they might just need to reset who's casting and who's not. I think they're actually missing a member here for Serenity, so they may have to remake the lobby, but still, the point stands. Art Academy, a pretty open map for the most part, but if you get control of mid, it's very, very easy to defend.
It reminds me a little bit of R1 Amal from Splatoon 1, right? You know, when you got that middle area, the opponent really only had a couple different ways that they could come in, and if you had solid control of those 2 ways, one being open and one being closed, you could really make life difficult for anyone trying to get back into it. So holding on to the open and closed became premiums in that map. Well, this is that on steroids. Not only can you take that and call out where they're coming in, you can push forward relatively safely if you have a big advantage, because that plat is a lot of room for you to move around and set up your sharks too. So again, not 100% sure on how many times the DC rule does come into effect. We'll see here if they end up playing it out or if they just kind of wait. It looks like Brandon going to be going with a sniper here. I'm not sure if that was just a fun pick based on what the DCs, but it looks like they're not waiting here, so they might have out. They pulled a 3v4 earlier. Can they do it? No, it does not look like they're going to play.
Control the court areas, control the world. As you said there, not really going to be playing here, but it is interesting to see that finally a charger is being brought into play. It is going to be the Firefin Splat Charger, and that has been the most popular variant of charger in Splatoon 2, whereas in Splatoon 1, it was all about the E-Leader. So the good thing about the Firefin that these teams are liking is that A, it has the sub the splash wall, which basically allows you to get free shots in while standing behind something that the enemy team can't really ink. We're seeing a little bit of playfulness here the enemies are either following each other around or jumping in the water to their deaths. So nice to see these two teams have a little bit of a respite here from these hard matches.
Can Inklings ride bikes? Was that ever confirmed? I know they can't in their squid form, but do you think they can in their Inkling form?
I mean, there's got to be a reason they're in the world. They wouldn't be there if they couldn't ride the bikes. It would basically be an insult like, hey, here's the thing you'll never be able to ride, suck it. So...
Well, that bike is now the guts of somebody as Ryan comes out here, gets the double kill, gets the ink armor off, but just not going to be enough there.
The Splattershot Jr. also doing a little bit of dancing there. Inklings having those major dance moves. Of course, they probably got some practice out in the square on that Dance Dance Revolution Squid variant machine. But now it looks like as this bow game ends, we are going to be able to get into the real game number 2, but I really do like this comp here that SaiKai is bringing out. You do finally have a bit of short and a bit of long range. The Rapid Blaster sort of working in tandem with the Firefin Splat Charger. Of course, those unscoped chargers having the new mechanic where they can now very briefly hold a full charge and move around a little bit so they can try to reposition themselves and already have a shot at hand when they pop out of the ink. And of course, we've already talked about the Rapid Blaster, such a crucial weapon. It does have that Splat Bomb Rush, which is going to be so nice for splat zones. You can basically carry the objective even when your team is 2 or 3 down. And if your positioning is good, if you can space yourself out from those aggressive T-Techs, those aggressive Tri-Sloshers, you should be able to claim 15 to 20 KAs in a given game.
Absolutely. And the one thing that we do have to say about those snipers, though, and the reason that we haven't seen them as much in Splatoon 2 as in Splatoon 1, once you get pushed back and pushed out of position, you can't influence as much as, say, other weapons. You can't paint yourself out of a hole. You really do kind of rely on those high-up perches, and a lot of these new maps don't favor that as much. Now, again, there are going to be a lot more maps coming in. We don't have an exact number, but we know there will be more maps as there were in Splatoon 1. So it's Charger's a pretty bold pick here. Brandon, being red, must be very confident in this pick. Suction Bomb Rush, like you mentioned, a very strong pick here as well. But it's going to be worth watching. Is this very aggressive comp that Serenity has been rolling out, is it going to be enough to push red back, push that sniper out of position? I think that's going to be the story of the game here, because if red is able to get set up on that top art piece, like you said, it's going to be shooting squids in a barrel.
And we have to continue reminding everyone, Serenity coming into this tournament without practicing together as a team, still not using voice comms in this tournament, but still playing very well. All of these players very comfortable with their skill levels, and also very feeling competent with their teammates that they'll be able to do their jobs effectively. And with the comp that they're bringing in, I think they like their odds here. They're very comfortable with the weapons that they've selected, and they don't deviate from them too much. Again, bringing in 2 Tri-Sloshers and a Splattershot Jr., so that's going to give them 3 ink armors. Basically, at any given time, the members of Silver Sanction SaiKai are going to have to make 1 or 2 extra shots.
And you know, it makes sense. They've already got a Tri-Slosher up here on mid. They've got control as a result. Tri-Slosher, I've said it so many times, strong everywhere, but really strong if you can get up into the middle. However, Shaq using that ink armor support, also able to put things down. Gonna have to go after R2, but has to be careful not to go too deep, because if they do, Gray will be there to shut things down. Now, Gray kind of in an awkward spot, goes down to what I think might have been the Charger, and lead going back in favor of SaiKai. Huge lead.
And you can see SaiKai doing exactly what we talked about in the early part of the game here, defending this art installment here. The top part of it allows you to see everything. Dragonuto trying to duel in a 2v1, but SaiKai able to get the better of that one. Brandon with great positioning here onto Gray, and basically backing Gray into a wall there. That's basically the only way to defeat Gray in a duel here, is to either team up with a teammate or back them up against the wall. In this case, SaiKai did both, and they're basically trying to spawn camp here, and that's something that you can very easily do on this map because there's so few points to entry on this map, and that's why it reminds me a bit of a Museum de Alfonsino. You only have just a few ways to get back to the zone, and right now, SaiKai defending them beautifully.
And just great movement that time by Red, finding a way through Gray's shots. You know, the Rapid Blaster does have to make those up-close clutch shots here. We got to be careful. 2-1, and the time is going to tick away. They did go down, but they did have their Rapid Blaster back there that time, or maybe that was the, I'm sorry, the sniper. They had a bomb rush on Zone Being, and again, just that one little mistake there. Gray going down from that great movement from Red, and once Shaq got up on there, it was game over. Even though Shaq did eventually go down, just too much pressure, keeping people out. The KAs tell the story.
Yeah, given about 10 more seconds, I think Serenity would have been able to give a penalty over to SaiKai. They had gotten them 3 down at that point. They were finally starting to get their footing under them, and then time ran out just as they were getting back to the zone. So pretty unfortunate there, but SaiKai showing their dominance in that game number 2, going up 2-0, and now looking for the clean sweep, which in this stage of the game is pretty ridiculous, especially considering Serenity's past results here. Again, as a reminder, this is the loser's bracket, so the loser of this set will be going out of the tournament for good, and the winner will be taking on Almost Kids. But Serenity looking to take this one to a game 5 and pull off the reverse sweep here. We'll now be moving on to our third map and mode combination, which looks like it will be Tower Control on Muscle Forge Fitness. Again, Nine, what do you think about this map? You always talk about that Tringe. How's it going to come into play?
Yeah, I think it's going to come into play, and I think that in the last set with Testa, as soon as the final map was revealed as what was it? Humpback Pump Track Tower Control, I immediately put my money down on Serenity because the comp that they run here with that double tri-slasher can just rain pain down on everyone on top of the tower, below the tower, it doesn't matter. Gray sitting back there as well, putting shot after shot on that tower. They were very, very strong on that last time, and I think that based on their comp alone, they should have a great chance of pulling it off here at Muscle Forge Fitness. That said, it's been shown in these first 2 games that weapon comp maybe doesn't matter all that much to SaiKai. SaiKai doing a bit of the same with their shooters, with their tri-sloshers, with their rapid blaster. So it seems they've got some of the same strengths right now. I think, honestly, it's just going to be up to chaining the ink armors. Can they get enough ink armors to make these big pushes happen? Because that really was what they used to kind of force themselves through Testa in that game 5 of the last set. I think either way, though, it is going to be a tall order. SaiKai has shown they just don't give a whole lot to the other team.
And Muscle Forge Fitness is not nearly as open of a map, right? There's a lot more walls. As long as your team is not being backed entirely into your spawn, you can basically shark around and hide anywhere. There's, of course, the walls that lead up to the main plateau there on the middle part of the map. You have the 2 side walls over by where the tower eventually has to pass through, so you can hide behind them, jump down from spawn, and basically get free kills there if the enemy team doesn't notice you. And that's where things like the Tri-Slosher will really come in handy. Their ability to shoot ink over those walls and basically keep their entire body protected is so nice. So that paired with something like the Rapid Blaster, which, again, we talk about that Splat Bomb Rush, it's going to be able to give whichever team is wielding it a lot more map control and also just pepper the tower with those quickly exploding bombs. And if you're able to stay safe and stay back, you'll be able to just take down both ink-armored up squids and non-ink-armored up squids who will have to stay on the tower in order to keep it going. That's why the advent of those checkpoints in Splatoon 2 makes tower control almost an entirely different feel.
Absolutely, and as we get in here to this game 3, we've said it a lot, we've used this term, backs against the wall. That is exactly where Serenity is. They have to figure out something hasn't been working here. They've got to figure out what it is. Do not be surprised if they try to go with a 2-2 even split here, as it looks like they're going to be using almost the same comp. Dragonudo going to be coming in with some more long range. That is a very interesting pick for this map and mode combination. I guess they want to give a little bit more support, feeling that Gray can't do it all alone with the long range.
Yeah, I'm seeing 2 major weapon changes here. Of course, you were just talking about the Jet Squelcher there. That's going to give them a major range advantage. They're going to be able to stay back either on those grates or basically behind the middle part of this map and just take enemies out without really taking that much fire. And then we also see the end parry dualies coming out from, I believe, Brandon. Brandon, who usually uses either the Tri-Slosher or regular Slosher, is going to be coming in with that end parry dualies that will have the Inkjet. Though in the meantime, we did see a full wipe forced by Serenity onto Silver Sanction SaiKai, so they're kind of scrambling to get back to mid. They still have somewhat of a semblance of map control in mid, but now Lionator are going to be forced to back off here and pop that ink armor as SaiKai scrambles to get back to the tower before Serenity can take any semblance of a big lead.
Yeah, at least here in the early game, it looks like that pick to the Jet Squelcher, a very strong pick. You see Dragonudo sitting back there on one of the, we call Snipe Grate, or Snipe, or just Grates, whatever you want to call it, has not moved from there until now being forced to by this Inkjet, but just sitting there and keeping that mid painted. Remember, that is a very valuable and useful tactic in this game. As long as you have some control in mid, you can move things like Ryonator on this Tri-Slosher up to mid to make plays happen. Great job here, though the tower is moving in the other direction.
And that's the thing you have to be worried about with dualies, right? Is it does have that amazing ability to just dodge roll around the map, but there's a little bit of end delay when you're coming out of that roll, so the enemy team has time while you're stuck there trying to fire your weapon to sort of relocate you and also just give heavy fire onto you before you can retaliate. So Brandon has to be very careful here. It looks like those SaiKai finally getting their footing under them. Shaq unfortunately going to go down even though he had the ink armor available. So that's basically a double kill here for Ryanator. That turns around what was a 3-down situation. So 88 and 68 are the two numbers to beat. Map control still very, very mixed here, and Serenity looking to reclaim this set at some regard.
It seems like every time SaiKai gets a stop and they get a little bit of ink control, it costs them 1 or 2 members to do it. And if you are Serenity, that's, you're fine with that. You have a lead. It's not a big lead, but you're playing, I guess, the neutral game, for lack of a better term, well, right? Every time the opponent tries to get something, they have to give something too. Something about Alchemy's first law. But in any case, again, 3 for 3. It's even trades, but when you're in the lead, you're fine with that.
Now Tower resetting back to mid here. Nice 2-down situation there onto Serenity, forced by SaiKai as Gray goes down. That's a major problem out of the way, at least for a little while. Shaq going to be the facilitator of that and is waiting for the right opportunity to pop that Inkjet, which is now trying to find Dragonuto, or is going to find Ryanator actually now looking for Dragonuto. Cannot find his shots quite yet. Finds him there, actually got him a lot with the Inkjet exhaust. That's what those hit markers were. And now SaiKai getting a good amount of map control in mid, facilitated by that Inkjet. They're going to start pushing the tower again. They need just about 21 points.
Yeah, they need it, but already 2 down and 1 trying to run away here. Gonna get the trade here. Unfortunately, that is going to lose them the tower and lose them the momentum that they had gained there from Shaq's Inkjet. And now you see this map already going back. Gotta watch out there. Someone waiting behind them. Not able to get the kill there. That's actually really big. That was the Rapid Blaster. Rapid Blaster, when it's at that mid-range, it's kind of in an awkward position. And unfortunately, one going to get caught out of position and just get swarmed. And again, this keeps a pretty even neutral game here, as we see a little bit of dancing here from R2, a little bit of teleporting. Spectator mode, please. But now again, you're seeing this. I mean, you're seeing just 1 and 2 go down constantly on the part of SaiKai. They can't keep up with the slaying power that Serenity's putting on them.
We saw there at the very bottom corner of the screen there, the NZAP getting a kill. I believe that to have been Zig, and we haven't really talked about the NZAP as much as we've talked about stuff like the Tri-Slosher or the Ten-Attack. The NZAP has been a very prevalent weapon in the Splatoon 2 meta so far. It does have a very strong kit of the Suction Bomb, which is an excellent sub for tower control, particularly because it forces enemies off the tower and has that very wide blast radius. And then, of course, it has that ink armor. It builds it up very quickly, not quite as quickly as something like the Splattershot Jr., but still pretty admirably, and has that nice strafing capacity, can get around very, very well and strafe a lot. So the NZAP being a very strong part of the comp here for Silver Sanction SaiKai as the time continues to tick down. But all this while here, Serenity extending their lead by a couple of points here, and unfortunately Brandon cannot find the kill, so that'll be another 2-down situation onto SaiKai.
I thought we were about to see the dualies at full force right there, showing exactly what they can do. But a very good job holding down that back line is Dragonuto, kind of almost letting Gray move around just a little bit more and do what Gray has been so good at doing, which is taking out people in front of him. And it's a great pick. It has freed up what they're trying to do here, and unless they're able to get 2 or 3 down like now, I think this game will finally go in the way of Serenity. Shaq alone on the tower, now down. That is not quite a full wipe, last one there, but of course not going to be able to get on the tower in time. A great response there from Serenity, showing why they are so strong on tower control.
Providing a bit of resilience there, and unfortunately that Rapid Blaster was the last one alive for Silver Sanction SaiKai, and they had a tough job ahead of them. They were the last one alive, they had a bunch of distance to cover to get to the tower, and they had their bomb rush at the ready. So it was kind of a choice between, do I go in and pop that bomb rush, or do I not have enough time? Do I try and get on the tower? And unfortunately they were not able to. We did see both Tri-Sloshers there getting a 19 KA for Serenity, so coming in huge in giving them at least one game win and trying to facilitate what could be a reverse sweep. So now a game 4 is going to be necessary. We move on now to Rainmaker on Sturgeon Shipyard. Again, we talked about it. Sturgeon Shipyard, a relatively large map. There's a lot of obstacles, including those moving platforms and those grates, so pretty much all weapon types do have the opportunity to excel here.
They're leaving in Dragonuto here. I don't know it for sure, but I think they might have seen something they liked in that last game with that Jet Squelcher giving Gray just a little bit more room to run. Again, I don't know if that's the case, but it certainly worked to fruition on that. It's an open map, the one we were just on, Muscle Forge Fitness, but it's not as open here as Sturgeon Shipyard, being able to sit up on that spinner, make that happen. So don't be surprised to see that again, but yeah, double trouble that time from both R2 and Ryanator. They also both had 5 ink armors, so 19 KA, 5 Ink Armors. When your Tri-Sloshers are playing well, you're probably playing well. So now we need to see a bit of a response here from SaiKai. They really never had control of that game. They were kind of just progressively beaten down over the course of it. So, you know, it's one thing to lose by one slip up. You can brush that aside and keep your solid play, but they're going to have to find a response here pretty quickly because that last game was convincing.
Yeah, like you mentioned there, the Tri-Sloshers will definitely be those boots-on-the-ground players trying to get map control in mid, popping those Ink Armors as quickly as they can, and trying to lock down mid. But you also have members like Gray and SFCE who are going to likely be on that Rapid Blaster still. They're going to have plenty of opportunities to stay back, whether it's going to be on those rotating platforms or on the grates just behind them, and try and melt players down from afar. They're also going to be popping those splat bomb rushes to try and maintain control in mid, because especially on Rainmaker, where you can move the objective just as quickly as you can swim, map control is going to be such an important issue, as is getting those other team members 2 or 3 down so that you don't have this huge opposition to go up against and you can push the objective freely. That's how you're going to get those big numbers.
And I'm glad that you mentioned that map control because of that. Dragonudo off-switch back to that Splattershot Jr. We talked about the relationship between the NZAP and the Splattershot Jr. Both great weapons building up, but the Splattershot Jr., to its credit, does have a little bit more spread. So if you need to take large areas very quickly of ink, that's your weapon. It may not be quite as effective at killing because of that spread, but if you pick it, you know why you're picking it. Is Gray getting started here on the left side very early.
Yeah, and taking a look at the perks that both of these team members are running, we did see both of the Ink Armor weapons on both sides running some special charge, I believe, around 2 mains worth, so they're going to be building up those Ink Armors even quicker. And then we also see Shaq running sort of a Splatoon 1 meta variant of those perks. We see, I believe, Comeback and then 2 mains worth of quick respawns, so they are going to be trying to get some kills, but if they don't, if that happens at least 2 lives in a row, they'll be able to respawn a lot quicker and get back into the action on this Tenatech. But for now, Shaq staying alive, fighting hard for that map control in mid. A push to 70 is not nearly going to win the game in my opinion, but SaiKai doing everything they can to regain the lead on their own terms.
And Red now here going to get pushed out, but a great job by Shaq coming over, knowing where the threat was, the kill, popping Gray's Ink Armor at the same time. Gray going to be able to shut this one down pretty effectively. Again, that Rapid Blaster very strong. The Rapid Blaster for SaiKai here doing the exact same thing, and still, again, a pretty even game. This left side, you have to be careful because the opponent will see well in advance that you're coming this way, and if they have enough members up, they will be able to stop it, as Serenity does once again.
Again, both these teams really sort of playing tag here with the Rainmaker, just dropping it on different sides of this ramp in mid. Now it's going to be the members of SaiKai picking it up and losing it just as quickly as Dragonudo pushes forward and gets killed just as quickly. The burst bombs are raining down, and that's what those double Tri-Sloshers can do, is just try and regain map control and keep the enemy team away with those quick detonating burst bombs. They have a relatively large blast radius as well, so whether you're using them to get away when the turf under your feet is the enemies, or to try and get 60 damage on the enemy team or breaking Ink Armor, just is a very nice multi-purpose sub-weapon, as Ryanator somehow almost got away from that spot bomb rush. And there we see the lead here for Shaq. He's coming away with 15 points over the number that Serenity was able to get to. So good push there, not quite to the halfway mark, and still plenty of time for Serenity to come back.
And now what's difficult with the position that Rainmaker is in, they were able to pop the Rainmaker, so now a feature in Splatoon 2 is it will reset itself eventually. As it looks like, no, they are able to grab it and just keep it over there, and that's so important because from this position, Serenity doesn't really have the option to take it back out. Again, SaiKai knows exactly where it is. They know where it has to come from. They know how the drop down is, as now 3 go down. The last one there, Ryanator, playing, just saving this game for them. Honestly, 55 again, not a huge push. Ryanator, the last line of defense there, gonna finally find a way to drop it down here, and they can at least try to mount some sort of a comeback. 2 minutes left, there's still a lot of Splatoon to be played.
Dig was doing some absolute work there with the NZAP, basically holding it down. If not for that kill by Ryanator, that would have surely been a major push, possibly into the 20s or 10s, or even a knockout. Now Brandon gonna get the kill onto a fleeing Dragonudo and pushing forward in an attempt to blaze a path here for his team, and unfortunately, I thought he jumped down into the pit there. I was about to say, what are you doing there, Brandon? But stays alive. The Rainmaker not really moving. It's likely just going to reset back to mid. A very heavily contested mid in terms of map control. And now R2 looking to push forward here. He does get located by the Ink Mine, a new feature in Splatoon 2 for Ink Minds, and R2 with his team Serenity here looking to push forward. It's going to be Gray. They already have a path painted for them. They're going to take the same path that SaiKai did. Will he be able to get the lead? And they will. Gray basically going uncontested here. Shaq, the last line of defense, somehow still alive. They have a path painted, so all the way up to 28 is going to be that push for Serenity. The push may end, but it's a 3-down situation with Brandon being the last one alive, so he might have to try and get this Rainmaker alone.
And Brandon, they're out of position, right? Moving up there, we saw some shenanigans, but we didn't see at the side of the map that entire time was Serenity. Serenity. Slowly, but all these names. Serenity slowly but surely moving themselves up and taking control of mid. And once they got those two down, Brandon was one of the only ones left alive, and it was on the complete other side of the map. And now here, Ryan doing a great job getting behind. Might get two, does get two. Unfortunately, two, all they're going to get, but with just over 30 seconds left, we said 55 was not a good push. 27 most certainly is, and you can see a lot of blue on this map. This is looking like it's going to be a Game 4 victory for Serenity.
And it definitely seems like each map has a preferred path that the Rainmaker is good to go on. On Moray Towers, of course, we said it was that wall on the far side. On this map, it appears to be those boxes. Jumping over them, you have basically a straightforward alleyway to get a good amount of points there, and a nicely carved path was made there by Serenity in order to get that lead. Now it looks like map control has shifted pretty drastically over to SaiKai, but they don't have that left side painted at all. They might have to take it on this right side wall, as Ryanator is the only one there to defend it. Ryanator somehow staying alive. Zig looking for the kill there, and he's going to find it, but he will lose his life as well as the Rainmaker. And now Serenity with this Game 4 victory with the push to 27. They will force a Game 5 against SaiKai. Will we see the reverse sweep? Only time will tell.
And Ryanator being able to get the kill that he was able to is actually really, really big, as you see once again the buckets doing work there for Serenity, but that kill was huge. If he was not able to get that kill, that would have allowed them to put some pressure on Gray up on that raised area. Gray was the one that shut them down. They did have a flanker, but it was a 2-on-1 situation with that flanker versus the Rainmaker and one bodyguard. So again, you never know what kill, you never know what splat it is that's going to completely shift the momentum of the game. Right there, a very, very clutch play by Ryanator, because we don't know what could have happened. As you said, there was a lot of ink down on that right. That is a harder push, but it still would have given a little more time to move on here to Game 5 once again. And I'm so glad that here late in the tournament, we're starting to see these Game 5s.
Yeah, it definitely proves the mettle and the resolve of these teams, that they're able to stick around and still fight even after going down 2-0. So SaiKai showing their prowess in the first two games, while Serenity showing that they still have what it takes in the second two after that. So now we move on to a game number 5, which should, I believe, be Splat Zones on Starfish main stage. So one of those maps, again, where the entirety of the focus is going to be placed on the middle part of the map. Unless one team gets a very drastic map control lead, they're not going to be pushed too far back into their spawn. It's going to be entirely fought on both that raised elevation where the actual zone is, and those two lower platforms behind the zone. So we'll have to see if either team can pull off any flanks. Again, it should be a little easier with no long-range weapons other than the Rapid Blaster in play. But we'll have to see where the Rapid Blaster's set up. Some might like to go up on top of the grates and fire ink down from above, especially if they have their special available, that Splat Bomb Rush. And some might like to wait behind the zone and see if they can just pick off anyone like the Tri-Sloshers or the splatter shot of Shaq, for instance, who might be wanting to flank around via those grates to the enemy side of the map. So again, just about any objective is going to require those 2 or 3 down situations to really guarantee a shift in the objective. So with Serenity having the momentum here, having won the past 2 games, they're probably feeling pretty good. SaiKai basically has to muster everything that they've got left and say, okay, do we want to go out of this tournament this early on? And I'm guessing the answer to that is no, of course they don't.
A little bit sneaky of a play here, subbing in Czar. Very, very interesting. No, of course, joking here. A mistake here in the lobby that Czar is trying to draw attention to by mashing the button as fast as he can. R2, unfortunately, in the spectating slot instead. That is one of the features of Splatoon. You do have to manually select these teams, and with all the DCs that happening, people are getting switched in and out, and this mistake was bound to happen at some point. But I see a name up top that we haven't seen a lot, and that name is Chip, the Octobrush extraordinaire, here for Game 5.
Talk about literally awaking the beast. Chip, who I heard might have been napping before these games, is now up and available for SaiKai. And that Octobrush, if he brings it, is going to be a huge menace for the members of Serenity to have to deal with. That's going to give SaiKai another inkjet, more of that aerial combat that we've been mentioning pretty much throughout that entire tournament. And also those pesky little chickens. Of course, I'm talking about the auto bombs, which when thrown into an area can track a player, basically just following them around until it gets close enough to detonate. So we'll have to see if that actually is what they bring here. Of course, they're going to have to remake the lobby because one team, I believe Serenity, was given Zar by mistake, but we'll have to check out if the Octobrush is what is brought in, and it looks like that will be the weapon given by Chip. So when this Game 5 actually takes place, it'll be a very different dynamic to finally see that weapon brought in, where before, we've mainly been seeing stuff like Tenetex, Tri-Sloshers, and of course, those end zaps.
And I'm not sure that SaiKai is aware this looks like a real game. I don't know that they know what's going on. Both teams seem to actually be playing here. Everyone booyahing. I think Sar tried his best to draw attention to the situation. We'll see what happens here. Okay, it looks like they finally stopped playing, so we'll let this timer break down and then we'll try it again. But very interesting here is we do see a Squiffer. I don't know if this will be the actual pick or... Oh my god, that was a 360!
Are you serious? Oh my gosh, actually hit that shot on stream too. Clip that one, folks. A beautiful 360. I honestly don't care if that one was not in a real game. That was such a beautiful shot. Unfortunately, going to be missing that one there. So looking for a duplicate performance, but not going to find it initially here. The Squiffer, of course, being the most recently introduced weapon, was, of course, a weapon in Splatoon 1 and now has been brought back. Basically, has that pretty quick charge time and now can also do that mechanic that all unscoped chargers basically can do for the most part, where they hold onto a charge for just a short amount of time. I'm actually not sure if the E-liter can do it, but all other chargers that are unscoped can. So if the Squiffer's being brought in like we saw there, it'll be a completely different dynamic that we have not seen yet. Chargers being scarce in this set. We only saw, I believe, the one Firefin, so that Squiffer could be a game changer for SaiKai.
Yeah, it could be. I'm still reeling from the 360 no scope. Actually, 360 no scope solely by virtue of the fact that that weapon cannot scope. It does not have a scoped variant. It is solely the mid-range shooter, and we didn't see a lot of it in Splatoon 1. Maybe we'll see it in Splatoon 2. We'll see if they go with that again. Both sides kind of getting to see the other's comp. That may go in favor of Serenity, actually, because they haven't changed up their comp really at all from the start of this. Bringing in Chip, though, and maybe that Squiffer pick might be a little different. But, yeah, we are now back to where we should have been. Zar back in that spectating seat. And shout-outs to Zar for doing such an amazing job working the cam on this. I know that the previous casters shouted him out a lot, but we're going to continue doing it. Zar has been doing such an amazing job, and a job that is very difficult to do.
Zar deserves all the props for sure. A very talented camera operator and also very talented content creator in his own right. But the Squiffer we talked about going to be just such a huge game changer, as is the Octobrush. I mean, the Squiffer being a pretty high mobility charger, pretty short range, but it can get some incredible flick shots like we saw in that 360 from SFCE. And then, of course, we talk about Chip's Octobrush. It's going to be a very powerful weapon. It's definitely one of those weapons that's seen an uptick in play from Splatoon 1 to Splatoon 2. You get those 3 kills a lot of the time. The 3 swipe kills, I suppose, would be a little bit more accurate, but it can also be very adept at painting turf, which is why it seems like a pretty decent pick here for Splat Zones. Pretty much no matter what the objective was, Chip would be bringing it in, but that's going to provide a whole new angle to this comp that SaiKai is going to be bringing in.
Mm-hmm. And it does look like that was a joke. We do not see the Squiffer here. However, we do see this brush. We've talked up Chip a lot. I hope Chip is up to the task. Once again, Gray going to be going to that left side that Rapid Blasters so commonly go to here. Tri-Sloshers going opposite ways. And already out into the lead is Serenity, although it is still early and Ink Armor is up. We might see a bit of a flank here coming from SFCE. Looks to one side, not seeing anything. Going to come in now, but has a lot of Ink Armor to choose through. Does get one, gets two. Is they going to be able to get Dragon Udo as well? Yes, the Tri-Slosher not able to get the fourth one, but Gray going to have to retreat back. A blaster, not the weapon you want to be using when 3 people are charging right at your face.
It is a Tri-Slasher meta, baby, and that basically just proves why 3 kills there and basically locking out the members of Serenity from even getting to the zone. Now we're seeing a bit of Chip's play here on the Synchat, looking for another kill there, effectively a double kill there as he gets the second one there onto Gray, and Chip can now start to work his magic with this Octa Brush, throwing that chicken in there, trying to see if the Autobomb can locate Dragonuto. Ryanator also on that wall. Dragonuto will go down, and the assist also going to Chip, as I believe that was Ryanator who died. Chip, smartly though, jumping back to spawn as he was caught basically in enemy ink. That's going to allow them to get back. That may give Serenity a bit of an opportunity here to get to the zone, but they have to do it fast as the zone is already ticking into the low 20s.
Shat going down there was actually really unfortunate for them. They had so much blue down there on that lower area, and now they've really kind of lost it. Chip off alone and not able to get close enough to Gray to make it happen. Gray going to be doing as they have so often done, shutting things down and giving their team one more chance to make things happen. 17, a big penalty, but their penalty almost done as well. So let's see what happens here. The ball's in your court.
Yeah, now we're seeing a bit of role reversal here as Serenity is able to find a bit of Moxie. Now Ryanator just barely running out of ink while chasing down Shaq and gets the high ground. Unfortunately, during that time is going to give control of the zone over to SaiKai, and a penalty of 24 is affixed to Serenity. So now we're seeing a return of that ink check coming out from Chip. SFCE, the ink armor just running out for them now as the Tri-Slashers basically just babysitting the zone, making sure nobody from Serenity is able to come over to it. There is a rather large penalty here for SaiKai to work through, but they seem to be doing it pretty well. One going down here on the side of Serenity. We do see the ink armor also popped from the Splattershot Jr. raining ink down from above as R2 goes down to the unseen Tri-Slosher.
Ryanator somehow finding a way to skip back. I don't think any of them knew. You see that this way coming out. They're going to be doing everything they can. Ryanator trying to save the game is able to get one. That penalty is chewed through another ink arm. Finally going down. We see Gray coming in here. They're throwing everything in the kitchen sink at this zone, and they finally do get it just at the end. Ryanator saving the game all alone, just knowing that, hey, I'll take the zone back, I guess, if you're just going to give it to me for free.
Yeah, and you talk about throwing the kitchen sink at the objective here. Basically, both teams using their specials right when they get them here, not wanting to leave anything on the table in this Game 5 scenario. SFCE going down to some well-placed shots from Dragonuto, Splattershot Jr. Again, that is a weapon with a pretty high spread in terms of the bullets, so you have to get right up close to your enemy in order to get kills like that, and Dragonuto doing that fiercely. Some bombs, though, being thrown onto the zone as SaiKai attempts to get it back. Dragonuto gonna get the kill there onto SFCE, but will die just as quickly to the inkjet shot, and now that's a 3-down situation for Serenity, so it looks like we will see a turnover here as SaiKai starts to regain some of their penalty points.
And how many times have we said it? Ryanator, the last one up, gonna have to make something happen, and as he so often has, does make something happen, taking out one, gonna get the trade with the second one as well, giving his teammates at least some chance with a 3-on-2 here. Dragonuto trying to find a way. That ink armor is now, but once again, Gray gonna save the day with that bomb rush, taking it just back in time. Dragonuto gonna work here at the top. I don't think Ziggs sees Dragonuto, and we'll see. There's 2 over here. Oh, poor Dragonuto, not able to get a very, very big kill. He had a chance for 2 that could have given them the lead.
SFCE now pushing forward, almost has that ink armor at the ready. Both teams with a penalty, but it's going to be Serenity scrambling here in the last minute of this game. They not only have a penalty of 35 to work through, they basically have to get 20 some odd points in order to regain the lead. The Tri-Slosher for SaiKai here does have their special, and they're going to pop it here. One member going down. Gray trying to stay back here with this Rapid Blaster and get Chip. Chip taking a couple of shots but staying alive as Gray has to get the high ground. He's the last one alive, and he's going to pop this bomb rush in desperation, but he'll go down. The penalty here almost run out for SaiKai, so this looks to be it. They're squid bagging over by the zone, and that should do it. SaiKai shutting down all hopes of a reverse sweep by Serenity, and they will move on to take on Almost Kids in the loser semifinal.
What a resilient showing there from both teams. Serenity bringing it back to Game 5, and even after seemingly everything had gone against them, SaiKai doing just enough to get that win. You see Chip coming in there with 13. You see the Bucket with 19, KA respectively, and wow, what a great job. And give credit to Serenity. They got themselves back into that game so many more times than usually happens, right? Ryanator with that big save, twice happening.